So today we have a returning guest. So Robert was on my first season, and I invited him to come back to share because you matter, you're special, and we should play more. Let's find out.
Building spirituality, family, health, and business. This is the Giant Builders with Lois Wyant.
Hey, Giant Builders. So my friend gave me some more shampoo samples, so I would love to share them with you. I'm going to have my email below. Send me an email with your address, whether your hair is dry, oily, or normal, and I will send you out your sample. All right, thank you. Hi, Giant Builders. Welcome. I'm so happy to have you here today. And today's guest was on my first season, and I'm so happy to have him back. Hi, Robert. How are you?
I am doing great because I'm here with you today.
Yay. Well, why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Well, first, I want to thank you, Lois, for inviting me back. And I'm so impressed. I'm so impressed with the longevity here of Giant Builders.
Yeah, we're season 3.
I know, who would have thought?
I know.
When you started Giant Builders, did you have a vision of where you wanted to take it and what that might look like?
I just wanted to meet cool people like you and just share with whoever wants to listen.
No, I like that because there's no pressure on yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about you connecting with some cool people and then sharing that with the world. And if people want to join in with, share with you or join in and share, great. If not, that's okay too.
Yeah.
You're in North Carolina.
I am now. Yeah. We moved not too long ago. Yep.
And I'm in Beaumont, Alberta, Canada. So if Alberta is in Western Canada, where's Carolina, North Carolina?
It's in the eastern United States. Like
Okay.
we're like basically on the east border.
Okay, so you're 2 hours ahead of me right now?
It's 1 o'clock here.
Yeah, and it's 11 a.m. here.
Okay.
Okay, so now we have our geography. All worked out for anybody who's watching today, for everybody who's watching today. Yeah, I am pretty cool. Thank you for reminding me that I'm one of the cool people.
Yeah.
Well, I love to play. I love to play, but I like to play at work. I'm all about pushing the idea that play is just good for one's mental health.
Oh, yeah.
Did you say yes, it is?
Yes, it is.
Why? Why do you say that?
Because if we're just in our, in our zone too long and just too focused, then I just don't see how our brain can just keep going.
Yeah. All work and no play, not a great way to spend your work day. And for 18 years now, through powerful play experiences, brings people together. I've been promoting the idea that we all need more fun at work. We all need more play at work. And in the past number of years, I've also been pushing the message that play at work, fun at work is just good for one's mental health. And be it that I live with and manage depression and anxiety, and I think I manage depression and anxiety pretty good. I always find myself starting conversations with workplace teams who bring me in for some type of team building workshop. I always find myself starting some form of conversations about living with and managing depression and anxiety. And but most importantly, I like to catch people off guard. They see me playing, they engage with me in playing and having fun, as I scratch my nose. Do you mind if I scratch my nose?
You do what you need to do.
As I'm engaged with this with the staff on a particular workplace team, playing and having fun. Somewhere in the workshop, I launch into the idea that I live with and manage depression and anxiety. And you know what I like about the fact that I do that? It shifts people's perspective as to what mental illness looks like.
Mm.
So, where do you think I'm going with that?
That if we play more, then it helps with our mental health.
And what about the idea of shifting people's perspective about what mental illness looks like? Because people may have a perspective on what it looks like, but then they see me having fun and playing. And then I address the fact that, yeah, I live with and manage mental illness, depression, and anxiety, and it changes how they think about mental illness.
Yeah, I think that because I think in our minds, when we think of somebody who's depressed or had mental illness, we kind of think of unhappy people.
Yeah.
And so seeing that you're a person who is playing and bringing happiness to those in the room kind of switches the concept of, oh, well, we can still be happy even if we have depression or if we have some kind of sadness in our lives.
Yes, exactly. Like it's not something that necessarily defines me 24 hours a day, though it does define me at different points in the day. But the act of living with it and managing it, and that's the key. It's the managing, right? I can show people my own strategies or techniques in managing a particular illness, which just by chance for myself is a mental illness. We all can demonstrate how we manage a physical illness. How do you manage a particular physical illness, Lois? Give me an example of a physical illness and how you tend to manage that. Because most of us are familiar with managing physical illnesses.
Yeah. I mean, I just had COVID last weekend. So yeah, so I'd stay in bed and I drink lots of water and I suck on a lot of cough drops.
The recommended medicine for COVID, cough drops.
Cough drops.
Who would have thought? Who would have thought? And you manage that physical illness. Sounds like you managed it pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, it wore me out, obviously, but you have to take a point where you have to like take sleep time or take whatever your body needs to recuperate. So whether it's medicine or sleep or sunshine or you need to think about your physical well-being as well.
And your physical health or your physical illness during that a terrible period of time, living with COVID once again, was probably very visible to your husband and others in your family and friends. People were able to see you not physically well.
Well, my husband, but I kept it a secret from everybody else. I just, it's like, it's the third time we get this. I'm just not even going to tell anybody else. We'll just get over it.
Way to go, Lois.
Well, I know, because it's like you take that little COVID test.
Yeah.
And the two bars show up and it looks like a pregnancy test. And I thought about taking a picture of it and posting it on Facebook and saying, no, I'm not pregnant. But then I thought, I just don't even, it's at a point for me now that it's like, I'm just going to deal with it and get it over with.
And so that's how I deal with my mental illness, which is less visible to others. It's visible to my wife, right? The illness of the mind, the illness of the brain, and how it shows up during the course of the day when my wife is present. What I choose to, how I choose to let it show up in public, the illness of the brain, the illness of the mind, the mental illness, I make choices on that.
Mm.
Right? Very much like you are making choices as well. But generally speaking, it's a hidden illness. And that's another reason why I like to launch into the idea in front of a staff team that I'm living with and managing a mental illness, because they can't see it. They
Right.
can't see the physical change, a physical change in my body. So by launching into the idea that I'm living with something that you can't see, suggests that, wow, it is something that is manageable.
Mm.
It is something that one can find strategies to manage with, because they don't know I'm doing that, because it's not something that's visible. People knew, your husband knew you were managing COVID because he can see you doing small things like taking cough drops to move from the illness to the wellness. And so in public, it's always neat to share with people, oh, while I'm chatting with you, while I'm here in your company, I'm also managing my own anxiety or my sadness that I'm experiencing today. I don't mean necessarily with you right now.
Okay.
But because one of the most important strategies with friends and relatives is to give them a heads up.
Yeah.
Especially Sharon, my wife, right? She deserves to know. She's deserving of knowing if I'm not in a good place with my mental health. So I'll give her a heads up, and it often sounds something like this. I'm feeling a bit anxious right now. My anxiety is a bit high. So if I come across as loud, if I come across being loud, or seemingly like I'm not hearing you, or I'm not responsive, or I don't care, it's because I'm just trying my best to bring the anxiety down. So it's not something that I want you to take personally. It's just me inside my head trying to manage the anxiety attached to all that's going on in the house today.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. I feel one of the best strategies is to give people a heads up. I can't recall the last time I did that in public, though. Kind of like yourself when you talked about COVID. Does everybody really need to know? I think they need to know that let me take that back. I I believe it's very powerful when you're managing it internally and you're doing well. And that's a gift that you're giving to yourself. And that's a very private and personal gift that you're giving to yourself, that ability to manage. And um, it need not be shared because it's an intimate, very private gift that you're giving yourself. Why are you nodding your head?
No, I agree with you. I think that's wonderful. I think there are a lot of personal gifts that you need to give yourself, and
Yeah.
sometimes they're just having privacy with some of your things, or some of the things that might be challenging is a good thing.
Yeah. It, when I'm in a professional capacity of facilitating workshops, it's a whole different ball game. Um, then I believe in the power of starting conversations, or the value of starting a conversation, with the hope that people see and experience my own level of comfort with starting a conversation. And of course, it's done with a great deal of fun and play behind it.
Yeah.
I love inviting people to workshops. And when I say to them, hey, let's play with the idea of mental health. And they say, like, what? Let's have fun with the topic of mental health. And they can't wrap their head around that. What do you mean fun and play? And they'll often come to a workshop online or in person, and it'll be very playful with plenty of fun. And we'll weave in conversations around mental health to create ease and comfort, and use play and fun as a tool to demonstrate that we can have conversations that are not heavy or feeling or where we feel uncomfortable. We can get comfortable with any hard topic through play and fun.
Yeah.
And why do you say that?
I think that hard topics bring us into maybe not a good mental place. So if you add play in it, then I think we can look at it differently and maybe not as harshly.
Because, simply because we're starting from a point of happy, of joyfulness and excitement, right? And the smiles on people's faces. So your starting point is all good energy, good energy.
Yeah.
And then you launch into a conversation on mental health. People tend to keep that wave of good energy moving through and begin to see that, hey, it's okay, or I can manage a conversation around mental health, and it doesn't have to be done in a way that is heavy or feeling burdened or uncomfortable. That's a gift that I love to bring to my workshops, and into my personal conversations with friends or potential business partners at a local coffee shop. What do you do? What do you do where you like to make a difference or make an impact on people? What do you do?
I interview people like you.
Oh, you do a lot more than that. You do a lot more than that.
I just we just moved to North Carolina, and it's a process of meeting new people. It's so I made little cakes and I took it around to all the neighbors to introduce us, and we're just really trying to establish new friendships, because we have a son who lives here and we have a son who's moving to North Carolina, but we need to have our own group of people. So that's a process. It's a building trust and getting to know people. Our pool opens, our community pool opens next week. So, we'll hang out at the pool and meet some people there. And yeah, it's just, you got to really think outside the box.
You were doing a lot of that. There's a lot of that going on, right?
Yeah.
Spreading the, hey, I'm here, I'm connecting, letting your neighbors know that, you matter, they matter. There's a lot of mattering that was going on in you reaching out to people. I matter, you matter, community matters. Friendships matter, conversations matter, relationships matter. You were doing a lot of mattering. You're an expert in mattering.
I guess it's better than being an expert in matter.
Well, what you're doing now through Giant Builders, it's all about mattering.
Yeah, I'm very blessed that I really feel that God brings certain speakers to me that inspire me. And so I'm going to be real selfish here. I interview people like you, and earlier today, I interviewed a lady named Alma who really had so many things happen wrong in her life. And yet she's doing inspirational talks. It's my gift is that I'm sharing these interviews, but the gift to me is that I get to meet wonderful people like you. So even though, I had somebody the other day said, what do you do for fun? And I thought, well, I don't do fun, and I don't take time for fun. I pull weeds out of my garden and I work and I interview people. She said, well, that's your fun then. I mean, I enjoy talking to people like you. That's my fun.
You know, I get that. And I'll tell you why I get that. And then I want to come back and compliment you even more. Once upon a time, a gentleman in a coffee shop said to me, hey, you're the play guy. You're the fun at work guy. What do you do on the weekends to have fun? I said, I don't know. I don't go, I'm not intentional that way. I don't start my weekends with a search for fun or search for fun activities. I tend to just do, and as a result of what I'm doing, it it can be fun, but on a continuum, it can be super duper fun or maybe a little less fun. But I go search. I find myself doing, and as a result of that doing, fun is the result, right?
Okay.
Whereas powerful play experiences, it's very intentional. I'm bringing fun to your workplace. I'm bringing fun to your team building workshop. We're going to do fun. We're going to do fun as a means to shake you up and drive home the message that you need to incorporate more fun into the workplace. But I'm not that guy on the weekends. I'm not that guy in the evenings.
You're laying in the hammock, huh?
Pardon me?
You're laying in the hammock, huh?
Right. Because as a result of that, I'm
Mhm.
having fun.
Yeah.
And whatever the result is. So it's very much like yourself. Um, my wife has spectacular gardens on 80% of our property, back, front, and sides. And so there's a lot of work to be done on the gardens. And as a result of being out there in the gardens with Sharon, fun is one of the results. So it's interesting when people put fun in front of you, the idea, and say, well, what do you do for fun? Well, I'm not sure if I go searching for fun. I do what I enjoy, and as a result, there's some degree of fun that's attached to it. I don't know how we got here, but but
Sometimes it just happens.
your your efforts in going out into your community and make connections is very much like you've done with me and others through Giant Builders to reach out to community in a general sense and begin conversations with people, both online and offline, and put them up here in a conversation together with you for Giant Builders. That's a gift, and it's in the world of work. In the world of work, that would be a skill that you're highly underpaid. If somebody said, "Well, what's your gifts and what could you bring to our workplace?" Well, I believe people matter. I believe people's stories matter, and I'm on the search for people and stories. And I minimally, at least online, love to establish a platform for people to share their stories.
Yeah.
And I'm all about taking part in the story sharing that goes on during Giant Builders. And when I'm not searching for people for Giant Builders and their stories, I knock on doors of my community.
And take cakes. And if I'm not doing that, I'm pulling out little evil weeds.
Yeah, totally. And what a highly undervalued skill in today's world of work. I can't think of a place that would hire somebody to go out and tell others that they matter and their stories matter. But in the person that you are, the role that you are here, the value is off the charts.
Oh, thanks.
Well, it's so acceptable here, and
Yeah.
it's so needed here, right?
Hmm.
What, let's have some fun for a moment here.
Okay.
Let's let's attach a dollar figure
Okay.
to the value of what you are, of who you are and what you do,
Oh,
reaching out to people. You matter, your stories matter, a connection matters. Let's start that conversation, and let's do a lot of mattering together.
yeah.
What what would you what is the dollar value behind what you're doing? Whether it's an per hour, or maybe say a year's salary. What do you think the value, or what would you like to, not what would you like, um, from inside your heart, what is the value of that if you were to attach a figure to it, a number to it?
I don't know how to do that. I
Well,
don't.
do you want to try, like, if it was a per hour or a salary? Which one would you like to play with me?
All right, we'll play salary.
Okay, so is it anywhere between 10 and 50,000,
I would say,
or higher than 50?
70,000.
Wow, 70?
Yeah.
I was thinking minimally 75.
Oh, okay.
And you know why?
Tell me.
Because my best year with powerful play experiences,
Mhm.
facilitating workshops, um, I earned $75,000. So if I'm at least $75,000 in my best year, spreading the idea of fun, play, good mental health, you're at least 75. And all the mattering that you do,
Oh,
and belief in people's stories. I was thinking 100 grand.
I'll take it.
Well, it's just another fun way to think about
Yeah.
the value of what you do, because we traditionally attach a dollar figure to things and people and services, as a way to equate the value.
Hmm.
So to think about yourself and say, wow, gee, if uh, um, if I was to receive a salary for this, what's the minimum I would expect to receive? And you said about $70,000. That's awesome. That's awesome.
I think that, not like in a dollar figure, but in my heart, the stories that I get to hear and then the stories I get to share, to me, that's where that dollar value comes from.
Exactly. And you just benefit from the 70,000.
Yeah.
Well, that's what it's as a result of your skill in mattering,
Yeah.
and seeking out and pulling in people's stories for conversations. Um, uh, there's no number you can attach to that in terms of the value of it,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
Because now you're entering into a whole different thinking. Like, oh, this beautiful thing that I do from the heart. You want me to attach a number to it?
Yeah.
But if somebody was to grant you a salary for the act of you doing it, minimally, uh, it would be worth $70,000, and that would be the result of all the awesomeness that you're doing, right?
Yeah. Thanks.
Well, I get it. People, at the very beginning, 18 years ago, I always said to myself, everybody has the right to play.
Mm.
Everybody has the right to play with me. So if an organization's leader calls me, or a team leader calls me and says, well, what do you charge? At that time, I chose a response that sounded something like, well, I don't charge anything. The question is, what are you ready to invest in? Because it's an investment in your team. It's an investment in your staff. So what monies have you allocated or are you prepared to allocate as an investment in your team? And often people will say to me, well, I'm sure you have a dollar figure attached to your worth. I say, I do, but I'm not sharing it with you right now because I'd like you to feel comfortable telling me what value you're prepared to give to the experience for your staff when looking at your budget. And sometimes people would say, well, I'm embarrassed to say that I can pay you $500 for a couple of hours. And I say, well, we're booked. There you go. It's $500 for a couple of hours. And they, what? I said, well, that's your investment. That's what you're giving to your team as a gift, 2 hours of fun, and you're prepared to invest $500 in your team. So let's do it. So everybody has the right to play, and I would never want to dismiss anyone simply because I show up with a number in mind. For example, all my workshops, regardless of the time frame, are $3,500 to $4,000, and somebody says I can't afford that, and I said, well, that's then this conversation is over. Everybody has the right to play, and everybody has the right to play with me. And so just tell me what the value of the experience is to your team, and let's move forward.
That's great.
And I don't think you're any different that way. You know that whether you're bringing cupcakes, what else did you say you were bringing to people?
Little cakes.
Yeah, and what else?
Oh, well, we made little personal business cards with our phone numbers on it.
Yes, exactly. So whether you're bringing this or you're bringing that, you were sharing the love, right? And the value attached to that is their reaction to you, right? And you get a reaction back. You say, "Oh my God, no, I thank you, and it's the reaction that has high value, right? And that's when people want to book me and they say, "Well, I just have $500," and I say, "Let's do it." Their reaction back to me is like, "That's everything to me. That's everything," because I didn't want the money to get in the way of the conversation to get in the way of booking. It's no different than you. You show up with the cupcakes, the business cards, and the smile. You didn't want anything to get in the way of it being an uncomfortable experience. You know, how quickly and easily you invited me back to come here today. It was so uncomplicated. It was amazing. I thought there was going to be this whole schlamazel, like, well, Rob, this is what we're doing. Things have changed with giant builders. I'm not sure if you're a fit. We need to have a conversation. It's like, oh, no, sure, come on back. I just, wow, that's awesome. It was just that easy.
Well, it's not that easy for everybody, okay?
What does that mean?
Means you're special.
I don't know if that was a good thing or not.
Oh, yes, it's
or if that was a compliment or not. Rob,
it was a compliment.
It was a compliment.
Yes.
Okay, we're done here.
All right. Well, any closing thoughts?
Where do you tend to post your giant builder conversations, recorded conversations?
On my podcasts areas and YouTube.
Okay. So if you're watching anything produced by Lois, be it on YouTube or her podcast channels, podcast channels.
Yeah.
No, I was like excited because
okay.
There was an S at the end of channel. So your podcast channels, get off your butt and connect with Lois. And you deserve happy. I'm telling everyone who's watching this, you deserve happy. And Lois is all about the happy. She raises happy levels. She raises you matter levels. And Lois is all about the yes, all about the yes. And although Lois and I haven't connected much over a long period of time, reconnecting with you again is like we haven't missed a beat.
Hmm.
And you're even more special. You were special the first time I met you. You're even more special. And I want people to experience the awesomeness that is Lois. So do
Aw.
something and connect with her. What are some of the best ways to connect with you, Lois?
Oh, I'm supposed to be promoting you at this point. All
Yeah,
right.
I'll let people know. I'll let
All
people
right.
know.
So I'm going to put below your links as well as my links to Giant Builders will be below for all the social medias.
Okay.
Okay.
And the best way for me is starting with the website, www.powerfulplay.ca. Lots of fun videos on the website, including fun videos on my YouTube page. But today wasn't so much about me. It was about Lois doing her mattering thing, her mattering skill, and pulling me back into the Giant Builders project. And I think now I think you're an extraordinary special woman. And yeah, I want you to know that. I want you to know that.
Well, thank you.
No, thank you.
All right, Giant Builders. We'll see you next week.
Okay, bye.
Thank you for listening. This has been The Giant Builders with Lois Wyant.